Now, what is the minimum cutoff at which your students actually got a call in the previous year? For general, I remember I told you 85% is the minimum, but in the 25-27 batch, which is previous year, only a student with 91.03% did get a call. That's a minimum cutoff at which someone got a call. Hello students, Namaste, welcome to MBA 360. In the continuous series that we're talking about of the eligibility criteria, the selection process of each of the IIMs, now we're going to talk of IIM Kozhikode. IIM Kozhikode, and what are we discussing here? We're talking of the selection criteria, the eligibility that you have, eligibility criteria, weightages that you have for each of the, the CAT score, the academic thing, the work experience, and so on and so forth. The cutoffs that you have, at which point you might actually get a call from IIM Kozhikode to, be a part of the GDPA process, and the number of seats that you have. Remember, some of this data might be slightly dated. It might be for previous year. Some of these B schools haven't yet announced the criteria for the current year, but what you have for the previous year gives you an indication of what's likely to happen moving forward. And before I move further, please subscribe to MBA 360 if you're an MBA aspirant, because we're going to help you, advise you, inform you on everything that's to do with MBA so that you get into the best college of your choice. Now, coming to the data. IIM Kozhikode was established in 1996, so it's 30 years old, which is very, very good. By the way, it's one of the most beautiful campuses that is out there. It's an IIM which is called the Institution of National Importance, which means that it essentially is formed by an act of parliament and not by any state. It's spread over 113 acres. It's ranked third best B school in the country, which it deserves in a certain sense because it's one of the first B schools which talked of gender diversity also, by the way. Right? The total number of students is 1,153, of which male is 56% and females are 44%. This, essentially happened because they really, really focus on gender diversity also. About 92% students come from outside the state, which is what a good B school normally would have, right? And they have about 180 faculty members. Right. So that's what it is. So when you say 180 faculty members, the ratio of faculty to student ratio is very, very good. Now coming to the eligibility criteria, you need to be a graduate, bachelor's degree in any subject with 60% marks. And the bachelor's degree should be 3 years and above. So, you can be a BTech student also, which is 4 years and whatever it is, but 3 years degree is what you need and with a 60%. And if you're a student of SC, ST and PWD, it is 55%. Now the weightages. And this is for the batch of 25-27, remember, which means that it's a previous year's batch. The current year batch weightages have not been announced yet for most of the B schools. So this might actually give you an indication of what is likely to happen, right? The CAT score weightage is 35%. The personal interview weightage is 35%. The WAT, which is written ability test, is 20%. The resume score is 10%. So this is actually academics, how many marks you got in class 10, 12, and so on and so forth. The stronger the resume, the greater the weight, the score out here. So this is how it combines. So 35% only is CAT score. Typically, this is what good B schools do. The good B schools give a lesser weightage to CAT and start talking about the profile of the student, which is what IIM Kozhikode also does. Now, what is the minimum cutoff that happened in the batch of 25-27, which is the previous year? The general overall percentile minimum was 85 percentile for you to get a call. It doesn't guarantee a call. It is a minimum. You must remember this. This doesn't guarantee a call. It is a minimum that you need to even get a call. For OBC, it is 75 percentile, EWS 75 percentile, SC, ST, and 865, 65, and 55. Now, what are the number of seats that you have? This again is for the previous year. Right, not because many of these IIMs, again, the data is slightly scarce, so we try to collect and collate whatever is possible. The general category students is 177, OBC is 135, EWS is 50, SC 75, ST 37, and PW 23. So in all, 497, 500 students is what they take, which is where if you see, remember in the first slide, we talked of 1,100 plus students in the campus. That's because this is the kind of intake that they have. And by the way, the intake keeps increasing here because of the kind of reservations that we have, and also possibly because these people also keep adding a few courses here and there. But in the previous year, the total number of seats that intake was 497, of which general was 177, EWS was 50, and 135, and those kind of things. Right. Now, what is the minimum cutoff at which your students actually got a call in the previous year? For general, I remember I told you 85% is the minimum, but in the 25-27 batch, which is previous year, only a student with 91.03% did get a call. That's a minimum cutoff at which someone got a call. So everyone was above 91.03. Though the minimum qualifying cutoff was 85, this is what happened last year. And EWS was 82.26. And OBC was 75.2. And by the way, this keeps varying. If you see in the previous year, it was 88.14. A year before that, it was 91.94. So this keeps varying, the minimum qualifying cutoffs. But this is what happened. But The qualifying cutoff would be 85 possibly, but this number keeps varying depending on the kind of competition and how the students have fared in the examination and those kind of things. Right. So this what is a thing. Now, I always say that if you still have any questions, please write to us in the message box here and we'll be happy to respond to that. If you want us to cover another B school that of your choice, tell us and my research team will work on it and come back to you. And at the same time, please subscribe to the channel if you're an MBA aspirant, because in my opinion, this will be the most important channel that you'll subscribe to help you decide which is the best B school for you. Thank you so much. Namaste.